Hello, and welcome to another Crafty Things with Katie. This is a project I've wanted to do for a long time in my class, but it is really kind of difficult to get this many flowers for a large group of people. So I decided this would be a great thing to do in my video series. So I'm going to show you how to take a bouquet of flowers from the grocery store and turn them into a really beautiful centerpiece in a vase that you already own, or you can go buy one. So I just picked a kind of middle of the road $30 bouquet, and I'm going to take it and show you how to best arrange flowers like this when you get them home. First of all, a couple of hints. This bouquet, as you can see, has a lot of beautiful stuff in it. You want to make sure when you're picking a bouquet out that everything looks really fresh. Sometimes you can take the plastic down a little bit and really look at the stems. These stems are nice and green. Sometimes when they ship flowers, they get wet and they can get moldy. So you really want to check them out well before you get them home, because sometimes the flowers look good but the stems do not. So you want to make sure you look at the stems really well. Also, depending on the bouquet, like this one has a couple of pieces of what I would call filler, but not very much. So the best thing to do if you're going to buy a bouquet like this at the store is to also get some sort of like filler. I just picked this up. It's just a filler mix. You can also, another popular one is called leather leaf, and that's what's typically with roses. When you buy a bouquet of roses, there's usually a piece of leather leaf. It kind of looks like a fern. So your best bet is to get some sort of filler, because typically these pre-arranged arrangements don't have a lot, and then the bouquet. So I could not find leather this morning, so I got this instead, which is fine. But the filler is important because it's going to be the base of your bouquet. So when you decide what size you want, I'm going to do a fairly large arrangement because we've got a lot of flowers. So for that, you want to make sure you pick out a good vase. A lot of places sell vases for cheap. Often you can go to a florist and actually purchase a vase or a used vase, and that's not that expensive. So I have this vase here. It's about a foot tall probably, and so the rule of thumb is you'll want the arrangement to be as tall as the vase at least, so that you've got a good proportion, unless you're looking for something that's really small and tight, in which case I would use a smaller vase than this one. Something like this you can get at the dollar store. This is a nice size little vase. It would probably fit about half of the flowers in this bouquet. So if you have an event where you want 2 arrangements, you could buy something like this and we could fill both of them. We could do 2 of these. So that's just another little word of caution. The other thing, make sure you use the flower food that comes with the bouquet. If it doesn't look like it has some attached, you can usually ask at the store and they will give you some. I'm going to just put the flower food in the container. And then flowers actually like tepid water. So not warm, not hot, room temperature-ish water is good. I'm going to fill it almost all the way to the top, because that is how much these flowers are going to need. And you don't want to have to add water after you've got your arrangement done. It makes it a little bit more difficult. So get this out of the way. Flowers are messy, so don't do this on an area that you're worried about keeping clean. Okay, so the first thing that you need to do is create a webbing, a network inside the vase for these flowers to sit. So I'm just going to kind of roughly tell you how to do that, and then I will pause and get that done. So as you can see, some of these leaves are a little gross, so I'm just going to take those off. That's fine, that's fine, that's fine. So this is a good size for our vase. That's a good height for the filler. You don't want it to be quite as tall as the flowers that you're putting in. So I'm going to try to keep this to the side so you can still see me here. So again, I'm just picking off some little bits here. Make this a little bit shorter. You always want to cut them right before you put them in the water. That's the best way for them to drink. So sometimes you'll get a piece like this. You can do a couple. You can cut a couple pieces off of this and get some different height in here. But what you're really doing, like I said, is creating a network inside the vase for your flower stems to go into so that they will stand up. I'm going to cut you a little bit shorter here. So I'm not really arranging this at all. I'm just kind of sticking it in there. And you can always take some of this out later if you decide you've got too much. Kind of depends on what we have got in the bouquet as well. But I wanted to be safe rather than sorry. So I bought some filler. Okay, so that's the first step. Now, once you get your filler in there, you can see that we've got some stems in there, so there's some stems for our flowers to kind of grab onto. So what I want to do is kind of go through what's in here with you. So I'm going to just cut this open. I'm not cutting the stems yet because they are not going in the water yet. I'm going to get rid of this pretty yellow because we don't need that. Okay, so I'm just going to sort this out by kind of flower type so that I can see what we have to work with here. So there's some filler in here as well. So this, like this guy, this is filler, so we can put that in its own. This is a daisy, Gerber daisy. I'm sure you're familiar with those. You want to be gentle with those. We've got some wildflowers here. Those look like thistles. These are roses. These are spray roses. Typically in a bouquet from the store, you're going to get maybe 2 or 3 of each type of flower. There's another carnation. These are just some daisies. These are some Kermit palms is what they're called. They're a little daisy. This is another, actually this flower is a relative to a carnation. They have very similar stems. So what else do we have? Lots of these daisies because these are inexpensive, so those are almost like a filler flower. All right, we've got some more filler. Got another one of these daisies. Again, I'm going to be very gentle with that guy. This is also filler. Ooh, there we go. That's beautiful. There's another carnation, another one of those, some of those weird little guys. This is a hydrangea. I'm sure you're familiar. Oh, it's gorgeous. Oh, they just don't smell the same when you grow them in a greenhouse. This is a lily. Going to be careful with lilies too. This is a little bit more filler, and I've got a little daisy there. Okay, so now that I can kind of see what I have to work with, here's my filler, this hydrangea, this daisies, it's another tip. Daisies are very easily bruised and creased. This one is a little creased already, so we're just going to be very careful with him. I'm going to just go ahead and stick it over here in that vase so that he doesn't get hurt. Let me see what else we have. I love the color. I love the colors. Okay, so the next thing you want to do is decide what you want the focal piece, like the center. What is the most, attractive thing you want to have in the center? So that typically needs to be the tallest. Since we only have one hydrangea and it is quite beautiful, I'm leaning towards putting that one in the middle, although it's not super duper tall. However, sometimes when you get other things in the vase, you can kind of you can move something like this up. So the stem doesn't need to necessarily go all the way to the bottom, although there it did. But we can play with that. So probably gonna go with this, or my lily would be the middle of my bouquet. So I'm gonna think about that. I'm gonna leave that hydrangea over there, that lily there. We wanna build a base first. Since I have 2 of these, I will probably, oh, they're so beautiful. I'll probably use one on each side of the arrangement, so I'll kind of keep those there. As you can see, these Gerber daisies come with these little plastic sleeves on them. You want to probably take those off for the arrangement, but what you can do, and I don't have any with me, is typically you put a little piece of floral wire into the head of the daisy, and that keeps them from drooping. That's why they have these plastic things on there. So it'll keep them from drooping. So there's that. Let's keep those real, we don't want to bang them up any more than they already are. That's the other downside of getting flowers in a big bouquet. You've really got to take a look at them before you purchase them, because you never know what you're getting. Let's put some more of this beautiful filler in here. This, since it's a little bit, if I put it in there right now, it's going to be a little tall. So I'm going to actually cut this down, and I'm just using scissors. If you're serious, remotely serious about flower arranging, definitely get a good pair of shears. But for now I have scissors. Okay, so I'm just going to stick a couple pieces of this in here. Just opposite sides, just kind of trying to vary it a little bit. And maybe this one in here. This is just beautiful. Gorgeous. Okay, so again, we're just adding a little bit to our web that's going to go in the bottom. Here's another piece. I might pull off that leaf. I might want to kind of stick this one a little bit farther down in my arrangement. So you can pull off a couple leaves, decide kind of what height you want this to be at. I usually hold it up to the base to kind of see where it's going to hit, and then trim it from there. Sometimes I have to cut a couple times. Put that guy right in the middle there. That's kind of pretty. Greenery is very popular, so you could even do just a greenery arrangement if you wanted to. This one, I'm just again taking a look at it. It's got kind of a weird, that leaf is a little weird. I'm going to take that guy off. Maybe some of these bottom ones can come off here. There we go. All right. Oh, that's a little too high. Let's see if I can poke him down in there a little bit more. Maybe a little bit. Sometimes you just have to pull it out and play with it. If you get it in there and you decide you don't like it, just take it out. Cut it. You can't obviously add stem, but you can always remove stem. So I always err on the side of cutting things too tall than too short. So now you can see, this is also greenery, but I'm not sure I'm going to use it, so I'm going to put it over here. I'm not wanting to use it right this second. So, this thistle is so pretty. Love that. All right, so then you kind of want to take a look. An important thing to do is to keep turning your arrangement, making sure you like how it looks from all sides and also from the top. So sometimes I stand up and I do a little adjusting too as well. All right, so now we've got our filler in our vase, so we're gonna decide what we wanna put next. Like I said, typically you wanna figure out what you want to be like the tall focal piece of the bouquet. I'm thinking we're gonna use these lilies because those are very beautiful and very tall. So we're not gonna put them in right now though, because for 2 reasons. 1, we want to build a foundation around them. 2, lilies are fragile, like I mentioned. There are other flowers that are not as fragile. Roses, actually, not the most fragile. carnations, daisies, all of those things, pretty hardy. Actually, hydrangea is decently, like, I can touch it and stuff and it's gonna be fine. But daisies are really tricky. My mentor Shirley would definitely agree with that statement. So what you want to do is you figure out kind of what you have the most of, and that's going to be sort of you're going to start filling in with that first. So for us, it's these little daisies. So I'll tell you another tip. Typically leaves don't last as long as the flowers. I know it feels wrong, but a lot of times I will pull the leaves off. And since these are not going to be the tallest necessarily, they're going to live kind of in this middle range. So you've kind of got the tallest, and then you have this middle of your bouquet, and then you have the things right around the edge of the vase. So we want to build like 3 levels, so to speak. So these are going to live kind of in the middle and the bottom level. So the easiest thing to do for someone who's learning, and even what I still do, is I just take my stem, I kind of try to decide where I want it to live in the vase, and that's where I cut it. Again, there is no wrong answer in this, so that's a great height for that. So the other thing about flower arranging is you want there to be balance, unless you're doing some sort of avant-garde thing, which is totally different, but most of the time you want your arrangement to look balanced. So again, I'm removing all these little bitty leaves and bits that I don't want on there. So since I have this guy here, I'm going to put another one over here in the same spot. So I've just got to measure that and figure out where that's going. All right, so we've got 2 kind of anchored here. There we go. They don't have to be perfect. If you're a perfectionist, pay someone to do this for you. Save yourself the heartache. If you are not, you can absolutely do this yourself. It just stresses some people out, but it doesn't need to be stressful. It's just flowers. So I'm gonna add a couple more of these stems, and I'm gonna put these lower. So those are right at the level now of the vase. See, some of these down here are right. So these are a little bit higher. These are going to be a little lower. I've got another stem of these guys. See, sometimes you'll get one where that flower is just, it's not made it, so just take it off. Like I say with everything with crafting, you can't really mess this up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put another one lower over here on the side. I've got another flower that didn't make it. Just pull it off right at the stem. This one's a little draggy, so we'll take him off too. Can't be afraid to lose a couple flowers here and there. All right, so now I've got kind of a mirrored effect going. I have one more of these, but I'm going to save it because I kind of want to see where I might need to fill in with it later. The other thing we have several of these little green guys. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to kind of fill in with them. Get some nice, kind of maybe a little bit of height with them going. Just again, you can see me just kind of doing this. Just stick it in there, kind of find a place for it. There we go. This is just a little palm. I feel like I'm hiding behind these flowers. Another one over here. So those are getting some nice little bit of height there. That's pretty. It's like a little yucky thing. These are fun. Maybe I'll stick another one of these over here. Again, it's good to keep turning it. You don't want to end up with something that's completely one-sided, unless you're putting it on a mantle or something like that, in which case you want it to be one-sided. But I'm continually turning as I am arranging so that I know what it looks like from all sides. And even once you stick something in there, you can kind of pull it out a little bit if you want it to be a little taller. And these are these funky little, it looks a little bit like a sponge or like moss. they are actually a carnation. They're a relative of the carnation, even though they don't really look at it. But you can see that their stems are very similar. So they've got the leaves, these guys don't, or they've been removed. These are kind of fun. Not sure where I want these to live yet. I know I sound like Bob Ross a little bit. I don't want them to get lost in the greenery. Maybe I'll wait. Let's get a little pink in here. Let's get some pops of color. So I'm thinking that we want these to be a little on the high side, so it's best if you're going to trim a carnation, do it above that little knuckle, and then pull these off, because we don't want those in the water. We don't want to see a bunch of leaves in our water. Okay? Got another one. Let's stick another carnation over here. And sometimes things kind of migrate in the vase. They just start moving on their own once you put them in there. All right. Just put that in there. That's pretty. There we go. I'm thinking maybe we want another carnation. I thought this side's getting real kind of flowy. Maybe we want one over here, maybe a little lower. See, so I've got this kind of green spot here, so I'm going to put a little carnation there. I'm going to make it shorter, so it's right at the level of the vase. Boop, boop, boop. Come on, little guy. Got to ease him in there. See, now that way we've got some different color. Got some pink that's high up, we've got some pink that's low. So you don't want to ignore this like kind of bottom layer. So we've got like our bottom layer, got sort of our middle, a little bit of our higher layer. I'm going to save that one. Oh, this thistle is gorgeous. Let me see where I want you. I kind of maybe want them to be high up too, because they are just so unusual. So if there's a flower in your bouquet that's really different, like this, you can choose to put that. I mean, you can do whatever you want. It's flowers. No one's dying on the table, as my coworker would say. Oh, I don't know if I want that high, so let's take him down a little bit. Okay? There. We'll see. Again, if I decide later that I don't want it that tall, then I will just make it shorter. These are like a little berry looking item. I'm going to take a couple of those leaves off because they tend to be droopy. And we only have one of these, so since we have one of these and one of these, I may put them kind of opposite. Although these are a bit more of a filler type item, so maybe a little bit lower. And they're very woody. They have a very woody stalk, like a tree kind of. I'm going to kind of snug them in there so you can see where that is. So yeah, those are kind of fun. So again, I'm just kind of turning it around. I'm just kind of seeing where it's going. Okay, now we have these gorgeous spray roses. We've got two of those. I love the orange. So we've got pink and we have a little orange. Got some yellow, little peach. And these are gorgeous. So roses, here's a pro tip on roses. Spray roses are different from regular roses. You can tell the difference because there's three types of roses, three basic types of roses. Regular standard roses, sweetheart roses, and spray roses. Regular standard roses you're probably all familiar with. These are spray roses because there is multiple small buds on one stem. The other type of rose is a small rose, but it is only one on a stem. So they look similar to a spray rose, but they're actually just a smaller rose. So with roses, typically you want to take a lot of the leaves off. There we go. You can leave a couple. These are awfully pretty. I think I'm going to go one high and one low. So It's a little high still. There we go. That's pretty. And I think I want one maybe over here. We'll see. I should have cut that right before I put it in. Sweetheart roses, that's the word I was coming up with. Sweetheart roses. All right, so you can see now, so I've got them on this side. I've got some here, kind of pull these up a little bit. That thistle is so fun. It's gonna be really fun when it all opens. All right, so I've got a little bit of, this is a little bushy, but I kind of don't mind. All right, so then we've also got, we still have a lot of stuff to go in here. These are good for kind of this, this lower level because they tend to get droopy once you take this off, unless you were wiring them yourself at home. So, and they also, you want to cut them immediately, cut them and immediately put them in. So I've got this space here, a little low, kind of a low space. I'm going to try it right there and see what happens. There. Isn't that gorgeous? So that's perfect, the perfect height for a Gerber daisy in a big arrangement like this, if you're not wiring them yourself. If you are going to wire them, then they can go higher. I certainly don't want people to say that I'm saying Gerber daisies can't be high in a bouquet. But without the wiring, probably should put them a little bit lower so they don't droop. All right. So this one, I think I'm just gonna go opposite side and put this one in over here, kind of on the corner here. Oh, it's gorgeous. Oh my goodness. So beautiful. Look at that. Gorgeous. Oh, I love this. This is stunning. I love this. Okay, let me see. Now we have to get this big guy in there somewhere. I'm thinking towards the top. But again, you want to take these big, I know they're beautiful, but take the leaves off. Just take them off. Take them off. Trust me, you'll like it better. I'm just not gonna, again, these are a really woody stem. It's like almost like asparagus. Whew. So, which is where professional clippers would come in handy. But with the absence of that, I'm gonna kind of stick you in right here. Oh, that's some nice height there. That is gorgeous. Let me see. Let me turn you around and see what's going on. See, you know I talked about things migrating. I've got two carnations right next to each other now. Cracks me up. Maybe that's fine. Maybe they just live there. But it's funny that that happened that way. All right, so then what do we want next? I've got some kind of fun spots for these lime green ones down here, kind of in this middle level. At this point, there's a lot of stems in here, so you can kind of, it's much easier to stick things in and get them to stay where you want them once you've got this many stems to work with. I'm gonna take this one, put it down here. It's a little bit lower. Yeah. Don't want to ignore, like I said, don't want to ignore the bottom kind of layer here. Excuse me. At the vase level. So he is there now. Jesus. Are you loving this as much as I am? I think it's stunning. Whew. All right. Yeah, sometimes I do that. You can kind of grab the whole thing and kind of fluff it out a little bit and then set it back in the vase. All right, so we have this guy still. Kind of need to figure out where we want him to go. Kind of just moving stuff around here. Oh, goodness. Let's just stick him And I'm going to pull some of these leaves off. So what we've got left, we've got these 2 stems that I'm going to maybe stick in there as kind of just, we're going to see where the holes are. I'm making a mess here. That's just the way it is. It's messy, flowers are messy. All right, I'm thinking, don't lose too much of that height. I'm thinking maybe here. So he's kind of sharing the spotlight with this hydrangea here that's just like the crowning glory of the whole thing. Just a stunning bouquet. So we've kind of got them sharing that height. Then, all right, we're about done. This is just like, I love the wildflower feel that this has. Part of that is this filler that I chose is very kind of wild looking. Even though these are not all wild flowers, it gives it kind of a real wild feel. All right, I'm gonna stick this guy in here somewhere. Maybe down here by this carnation, maybe down here right here. So he's gonna be low by this. It's gonna keep her company down here. There we go. Some nice kind of texture. Ooh, it's a little too high. All right, there we go. There's that. Stunning, stunning, stunning. Whew. Doesn't look like $30 anymore, does it? Looks like a lot more. Now you know why florists get paid what they get paid. They deserve every penny of it. It is not easy work. All right, I think I'm gonna stick this guy. Wow, this is just so pretty. Where do we need some yellow? Maybe over here. All right. Oh yeah, that's perfect. Okay, so now you can see we've got this gorgeous bouquet. Now I'm standing up because I want to see what it looks like from the top. Now I'm kind of just taking things and pulling them out a little bit more, kind of where I get them where I want them. Got to be careful with that lily. Okay. You know, I'm not loving this right here, so I'm going to take him down a little bit, I think. Actually, may just pull it out. You just got to be careful when you pull things in and out of there. I'm going to just put it in front of this filler. That fixed that. Perfect. So I just took this guy and put him in front of this filler flower, and now I think it makes all the difference. All right, yeah, I'm loving this wild look. This is really beautiful. All right, so I'm going to pause, and then I'm going to bring the camera over and really give you a close-up of what this looks like. So now you can really see this up close. I'm just going to kind of turn it so you can see all the way around. So the good news is it does not really have a front or a back, which is great for if you have it on your table. You definitely want it to, you know, not be one-sided. So yeah, that is just stunning. Stunning.